The command deck of the Galactic Council station fell silent when Vorkesh materialized through the docking bay doors. His towering frame, covered in obsidian scales and battle scars, commanded immediate respect. The Krillian predator had returned from the front lines of the Outer Rim War, and every species present knew what that meant. Death followed in his wake. But today, something was different. Captain Rhea Solon stood near the observation window, her human frame dwarfed by the assembled alien dignitaries. She held a datapad loosely in one hand, seemingly unbothered by the tension crackling through the air. When Vorkesh's crimson eyes locked onto her, she simply nodded. "Commander," she said evenly. "Human." His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Where are my cubs?" Rhea gestured toward the adjacent chamber. "Finishing their lessons. They'll be out in 10 minutes. A collective gasp rippled through the council chambers. Ambassador Thel Quinn of the Morvathi Collective leaned forward, his crystalline form refracting light in agitation. "Captain Solon, protocol demands." "Protocol demanded I keep them alive and healthy," Rhea interrupted, not taking her eyes off Vorkesh. "Mission accomplished, Ambassador. 3 months ago, Vorkesh had done the unthinkable, facing deployment to a conflict zone where survival rates hovered near zero. The Predator commander had approached the human captain with a request that violated every principle of Krillian culture. Watch over his cubs while he went to war. The galaxy had watched in horrified fascination. Krillians were apex predators. They're young bred for combat from birth. They didn't form emotional attachments. They didn't trust outsiders with their offspring. And they certainly didn't leave them with humans, the strange, soft species that had only recently joined the galactic community. But Vorkesh had studied humanity during the brief alliance against the Void Swarm. He'd seen something the others hadn't. Humans didn't just fight for survival. They fought for each other. The door to the adjacent chamber hissed open. 2 young Krillians bounded out, their scales still mottled with juvenile patterns. They were half their father's size but already formidable, with claws that could rend steel. "Father." The smaller one, Kesra, launched herself forward, then stopped abruptly 3 meters away, sitting back on her haunches. The second cub, Vorjin, followed suit, mirroring his sister's posture with military precision. Vorkesh's head tilted, a gesture of confusion rare among his kind. "Explain." "Captain Rhea taught us patience," Kesera said, her young voice steady. "She said rushing toward those we love without awareness causes harm." "May we approach, Father?" The silence in the council chamber was deafening. Vorkesh's claws flexed once, twice. Then, "Approach." The cubs moved forward, disciplined but joyful, and pressed their heads against their father's chest. The Predator commander's eyes never left Rhea's face. "What have you done to my children?" Rhea finally moved away from the window, approaching the family with calm confidence. "I kept them safe. Kept them fed. Kept them learning." She paused. "And I taught them that strength without control is just violence." Impossible. This came from Ambassador Thel Quinn. Krillian cubs are neurologically incapable of delayed gratification. Their predatory instincts override all learned behavior. "With respect, Ambassador," Rhea replied, pulling up data on her pad. "That's because no one ever tried teaching them differently. I have 3 months of documentation showing measurable increases in impulse control, strategic thinking, and empathy," Vorjin interrupted, looking up at his father. "Captain Rhea says empathy is a weapon the enemy never sees coming." Vorkesh's scales rippled, a sign of deep emotional disturbance. "You taught them human weakness. I taught them human strength." Rhea's voice carried across the chamber. "Your species believes emotion is weakness because you've never learned to wield it. But empathy isn't softness, Commander. It's intelligence. It's seeing the battlefield from every angle, including your enemies. It's knowing when to strike and when to shield." She gestured to the cubs. Kesera talked down a diplomatic incident between 2 Morvathi traders without a single threat. Vorjin organized a supply chain optimization that increased station efficiency by 18%. "They did this because I taught them that being apex doesn't mean being alone. It means being responsible for the ecosystem around you." The Predator commander was silent for a long moment, studying his cubs with new eyes. They looked healthy, well-trained, dangerous, but something fundamental had shifted. They stood with confidence, yes, but also with awareness. Their eyes tracked not just threats but connections. The war is over. Vorkesh finally said. I survived. I came to retrieve my cubs and sever our agreement. Of course, Rhea said simply. She knelt down, bringing herself to the cub's eye level. You two remember what we talked about? Change is inevitable, Kesra recited. Adaptation is survival. Love is not weakness. It's why we survive. Good. Rhea touched each cub's forehead gently, a human gesture of affection. Make your father proud. Make yourselves proud. As she stood, Vorkesh blocked her path. For a heartbeat, every weapon in the council chamber hummed to life, targeting the predator. He ignored them all, his attention solely on the human captain. You have done something no being in this galaxy thought possible, he said quietly. You have given my cubs something I could never provide, a choice in what they become. Then, in a gesture that would be analyzed by xenopsychologists for decades, Vorkesh touched his forehead to Rhea's, a Krillian sign of ultimate respect, reserved for battle-bonded warriors. The Krillian clans will remember this, and we will learn. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Vorkesh had returned to his homeworld and begun implementing the Solon protocols, a complete restructuring of Krillian child-rearing based on human principles of emotional intelligence and strategic empathy. Other species watched with fascination and fear. The apex predators of the galaxy were evolving, guided by the soft, strange humans who had somehow weaponized compassion itself. Captain Rhea Solon declined 17 interview requests and 1 Medal of Honor. She returned to her quarters, updated her personal log, and prepared for her next assignment. In the privacy of her room, she allowed herself a small smile. Humanity hadn't joined the galactic community to conquer or compete. They joined to teach the oldest lesson Earth had ever learned: survive alone or thrive together. The choice had always been simple. The galaxy was only just beginning to understand.